I'm Barry Morrow, professional fisherman. Today, we're going to be going after one of the most sought after predator fish in the central states, and that is the crappie. People love to catch them, and most of all, they love to eat them. We're going to be using some 10-foot and 11-foot rods. We're going to be chasing the fish by actually dipping trees, pitching standing timber. We're going to be fishing along the channel edges. We're in the fall of the season, actually starting to get cool. We've had a cold front come through and some rain, which is typical, but we're going to be fishing right off the bottom. And to do that, we're going to be using 2 to 3 baits. A couple of them I've got right here. One of them is called the Daddy Shad. It's actually a 3-inch bait. This one happens to be black and pink. The water we're fishing in is going to be a little bit stained. This one here is a June bug. It's called Truman Thunder, but it's a flat tail. It's a 2.5 inch bait, and this is a 3-inch bait. And the reason I use different baits is to give the different presentation to the fish and find out what they like. Key thing to remember for all fishermen, especially beginners, is let the fish tell you what they want. If you're not catching some fish, change up and try something different. This bait is a 3-incher. It's actually got a profile of a shad, and it's got the skinny tail, which actually lets it move left and right and also up and down. This is a paddle tail. It's called a beaver bottom. I love this bait as well, but it has a flat tail. So basically the tail is going to be moving up and down. Has a ribbed body, which pushes water, causes vibration. This one has a smooth body. So give them a different look, different presentation of water, and you're definitely going to catch more fish. The poles we're using today, this happens to be a spinning rod, which a lot of people like to use. It's a 10-foot dipping rod by Todd Huckabee series. I've got a spinning reel on it. It has braided line. It's a 15-pound braid, which gives it about a 2 to 4 pound test diameter. We've got it tied tight. I've got a Palomar knot tied with that braid. That's a real strong knot. And we're going to be fishing, like I said, in 5 to 9 foot of water. I probably won't have any more line out than this right here all day long. And so when we fish with this, I'll be holding the line here, pulling line, and as you'll see later, pitching it and dropping it down right beside the trees. The other pole I'm going to be using is a Huckabee rod. This happens to be a Pro Series rod. It's a 10-foot, 11-foot rod. Actually, this rod's 10.7, but I use 10 and 11-foot rods most of the time. Bait caster on it. Doesn't have to be a bait caster. I love them because they're simple. You have very little problems with them. The line doesn't get wrapped around the handles or the bail. I don't have to worry about that like I would a spinning rod. This rod I've got equipped with silver thread. It's a 12-pound silver thread line. I love the copolymer line. It gives me a little more stretch versus the braided line on the other line. So I got change up here. And also I tie a loop knot on it that gives the bait a chance to move freely. And it'll set in the water like that. And then once I move it, it'll start floating and gives a little more movement. And I catch a lot more fish with that type of a knot. So we're going to be using different line, different bait today, a little bit different rods and reels than what most people are used to, but I'm going to show you how they work, and we're going to catch a lot of fish. We've got cloudy skies today. We've got some mist in the air. We've had rain all evening, but looks like we're going to have a little bit of south wind around 7 to 9 miles an hour. It could be south-southwest. But in the central states, you never know, it could change any minute. So let's go see if we can't stick us some what we call big crappie, some 1.5 to 2 pound crappie. Let's go. Folks, today we're out here fishing for some crappie, and we're going to be using our 10-foot dipping sticks by Huckabee series. I've got the beaver bottom bait on, and I've also got the black and pink Daddy Shad. And we're getting ready to fish these stumps, and I've set my poles. Actually, you see me holding 2 poles. I started with one single pole, had a black and pink on, fished a couple trees, didn't get bit. Went to this white and chartreuse, and dropped it down in there, and boom, nailed one. 2 poles gives me 2 different colors, the chance to catch fish on both poles, but also a chance to change colors without having to change colors. I've got 2 different baits in the water. So right now I've got 2 daddy shads on, but I'll be changing to the beaver bottom here in a little bit, and we're gonna see if we can catch some fish. I've got my line set at about that deep, which is only about 4.5 feet. My sonar says we're in 4.9 feet, so I go down until my line actually is limp. I'll show you how I set it. I go down until I get my rod tip and my line is limp, like it is right there, and then I reel up until it gets tight, and then maybe 1 turn more. And when I fish with spinning rods, I put my fingers on the line right here by the reel. I'll put my fingers on the line and hold it, and now I've got my line set the right depth. I've got my finger on the line, no slippage. When I drop down in the water, I'm actually going to be about 1 or 2 inches above the bottom, and then I'm going to start lifting up and snap it. I pop my jig just a little bit every once in a while. If you watch my rod tip, you'll see today I'm going to be popping it just a little bit. I'm going to be lifting and popping, and they're going to hit it hard. I'll drop one pole, swing the other one in with the fish. That means we're going to catch fish here in a second. All right, we're going to be pulling up. Boat control is very critical. You really, in this type of fishing, you want to nose the boat into the wind just a little bit. And I'm going to cover both sides of these stumps. These are trees that have basically been broken off. And right now, it's real close to a channel. So we're going to hit 3 or 4 trees here, see if we can get a bite, and then we'll back out and try some more trees. Whoa, had a bite. He knocked the fire out of that one. Put it right back in there and see if he'll hit it again. When you're fishing standing timber like this, you almost got to approach it that there's a fish on every tree. Now that is a nice, probably a 0.7, 0.6 crappie. Got him right off the bottom using the daddy shad bait, black and pink. There's more to be caught. Huh. They're talking me out of this color. If they're not biting it, you have to try something different. There's one. Oh my God. You just got to try a little longer. Solid fish, folks. Hold still. That is a good bite. Again, we've gone a little bit shallower away from the channel, a little bit further back. These fish are holding in 4.5 to 5 foot of water. You just got to keep your jig in the water. You'll catch more fish. Today we're going to be fishing with 2 jigs. I want to show you how I tie on 2 jigs. A lot of people think you got to be nuts to fish 2 jigs when you're jigging vertically, but I'll tell you, I'm fishing standing timber, big black woods. They have very little limbs on them, and I'm fishing shallower water. Anywhere from 4, 5 to 9 foot will be great for this. 2 jigs, small on top, bigger one on the bottom, gives me 2 different presentations, and you want to fish it real gentle. And what I'll be doing is feeling it, the jig head bounce on the tree or over a limb, lift one up, lift the second one up and drop it, boom, you're going to get bit. I'm going to show you how I tie that. You might want to take this and use it sometime, so watch. We're going to start with this knowing that this is a copolymer line. Monofilament line, this knot works great. I call it a loop knot. We're just going to thread it through the eye, and we're going to be pulling about 2 foot of line to start with. And then once I get that pulled, I'm going to pull the lines together, put the jig head in my 3rd finger and thumb, and then I'm going to wrap it 1, 2, 3, 4th time around is when I pinch the lines together and pull my fingers out. I'm going to take the jig and drop it from the backside through. And when I do that, then I pull a little bit of the loop down, switch hands, pull a little loop down, again, switch it, and then I grab the main line and my tag line, and I pull and drop. And at the same time, it looks like a mess. But once I get to there, I can just pull real lightly, and I've got about that much loop. I like that the best. It's gonna look like that. That's my top one. I'm gonna let this down. I'm gonna go to the end of the line. I have to pick up my second jig. This first jig happens to be a baby shad by Bobby Garland, 1/8 ounce jig head. And I'm gonna go to the next one, which is a 3/16 jig head, using Truman Tornado beaver bottom, 3/16 jig head. And I'm gonna pull that to where it's about 12 to 14 inches from the first jig. One thing I do is wet my line. I might not have done that on the last one, but I wet the line before I cinch it. And then here we go again. Third finger and thumb. 1, 2, 3. On the fourth time around, I come back and pinch it. There should be a smooth loop there, but it's all tangled up. But I'm going to drop it through from the back side, let it fall, pull the loop down, start pulling the tag line. And when I do that, I grab the main line and pull both ways. And right here is where I really wet it. And I just cinch it just a little bit. And then I take my tag line and cut it off. I should have some scissors here somewhere. I leave about a 1/16 of an inch tag line. And now what I've got is 2 baits that far apart. I have potential to catch 2 fish. I've got 2 different sizes. I've got 2 different colors. This gives me the best chance to catch fish off standing timber. If this was a cedar tree, I wouldn't be doing this. Standing timber that has very little limbs, great option. With these 2 jigs, letting them fall like that, it really looks like there's 2 baits, 2 shads following each other. One's a little higher in the water. There's one. All right. Looky there. Top bait. 2 jigs, 1 crappie, different water column, black and chartreuse, baby shad, Bobby Garland. 2 jigs, 2 options, 1 fish this time, with potential for 2 fish at a time. Give it a try, it does work. All right, this one here and the next one looks really good. Let's hope for a fish here. There's one. That's what we're talking about. Nice fish. Whew. All right, there you go, guys. If you find the right cluster, you might have to hit a lot of trees, but you will find fish. And when you're doing this in shallow water, it can't be any more fun than this. Okay, we're fishing 5.4 foot deep, which my trolling motor is in the water at least 1.5 feet. So we're probably close to 6 foot, 5 to 6 foot. I've got the Pro Series Huckabee rods in my hand. I've got them equipped with bait casters, and I'm holding 2 of them because I double dip a lot. And the advantage of that double pulling is I put 2 different baits on, 2 different colors. Right now I've got 2 beaver bottom baits on. I've got them tipped with a niblet. They seem to like the bait a little bit more. They hang on a little longer. I just got through catching a fish and it took me 3 attempts. And when I put the niblet on, he held on to it. But I've got a white chartreuse and I've got a June bug chartreuse on with a pink head, chartreuse head. So 2 baits, 2 rods, different. I use them upside down because I've got a Tennessee handle and I let it rest on my elbow. I never fish and grip my pole tight because if I do, I got tension on my hand. You'll feel less bites by doing that. Hold your pole in your hand like you're holding a robin and dip it down in there, find the bottom, lift up, and we're getting ready to hit these trees right here. And I'd say in the next 5 to 10 minutes, we're gonna have a crappie in the boat. Let's give it a try. A lot of times I'll drop one pole and leave it down low, and then I'll bring the other pole up higher. And so what I'm doing there is checking the different water column to see if the fish are coming up with it or if they're actually holding in a different level. There's one right there. Nice fish. Holy smokes. Look at that, folks. That is a toad of a crappie. Hold on here. Let me get him in there. Wow. Now that is a 1.75 pounds to close to a 2-pound fish. 5 foot of water on a Truman tornado. Actually, it's a June bug color. Tipped it with a little bit of a niblet, dropped it down, bam. You talking about a thrill. 11-foot Todd Huckabee rod, try them. You'll love these crappie. Well, we had mist and rain, and we've got cool temperatures. We've got a little breeze, not too bad. We've caught some big fish. We caught some good fish we're gonna eat this evening. And so we're gonna make our way back out of this timber and go load up and clean some fish. I'd like to thank Offshore Tackle. I'd like to thank Huckabee Rods, Crappie Town, also Stump Jumpers, and the Beaver Bottom Boys out of Wausau, Oklahoma. So it's been a great day, and hopefully they'll get the opportunity to see this and get out on the water and use their products, because they're outstanding.